Welcome to the Dickson Wilderness Area in Ayr, Ontario. It's February 2021.
This conservation area is off a side road with Hillside Trailer Park, very close to it, and Pinehurst is just up the highway. But it's really adjacent to the Hillside Trailer Park. And let's find out what it's called. And I guess there was a guy by the name of Roy Dickson back in the 1898 to 1984. He was a science teacher at the Collegiate in Kitchener, and he was a naturalist, and he was frequently consulted on identifying different birds and plants in this area. So this was named after him. This is the F.W. Roy Dickson Wilderness Area that we're about to experience. So they do have a map here, and it shows where we're beginning, and then we go along through a boardwalk, a footbridge, a lake. Should be quite fun. So this is the beginning of the trail. There's not too many people out here today, even though it's beautiful. So there's lots of grasses down there. Indian grass and others. We could call that a bog or a marsh. I can see a boardwalk up ahead. Sue's trying to push over that white pine tree. I don't think so. Must be at least 100 years old. There's another one. Great trees for your health, just to be near them. Another paradise located very close to Cambridge, Paris, and Kitchener. And a beautiful boardwalk. Little sparrow in there. I see them. Looking for seeds that people have dropped. Look like juncos. This is Sue with some seeds in her hand, waiting for the birds to come and get them.
Too many seeds.
Just hold it still, Sue, they'll come. And we're standing in front of the wetlands, which are saturated with water area so that the plants are logged into the soil. There's different kinds of wetlands too. This is a swamp thicket, which is a wetland dominated by a thick growth of shrubs and small trees. You can look for the red osier dogwood bush and listen to the sounds of the marsh wren, which is a bird. There's a chickadee right there in the bush. They're very well camouflaged with white, black, and gray. So if we stand here and listen, we can hear the sounds of the oak tree talking to us. What a great way to spend a sunny Saturday afternoon in February. And there's even benches that you can sit on and just listen to nature.
You think this one's the same?
So I think we have the big thick tree, looks like a oak tree because of the bark. The smooth one looks like a beech. And the dark one over there
Really
looks like a
smooth.
cherry. This is Hillside Trailer Park, which is very close, as you can see, to this Dickson Conservation Area. This is a black cherry tree. You can tell by the color and the shape of the bark, very dark. And there's a few of those in the Carolinian forest here, and they're very tall and majestic. Wow. So we're not sure what these small little trees are with yellow leaves still on them that present quite a contrast to the large oak and cherry and beech trees in this forest, but they sure are pretty. We'll follow this tree up until you can spot the squirrel's nest. They like to be really, really high off the ground. It's safer that way. And they use branches from the forest floor and leaves. And that's a squirrel's nest. We're approaching a pond which separates the conservation from the trailer park, and I think if I lived over there, I would just shovel that pond off and do some skating.
We have here is a Kettle Lake.
Kettle, Kettle.
Yeah, they say this is the largest water feature on the
Dickson Wilderness Area,
Yes.
the largest water feature.
And it was formed when a glacier went through. A chunk broke from the glacier, and it stayed in place as the glacier moved on, and it melted and formed a depression with a lake in it.
It's from the last glacial period.
Yeah,
And the
12,000
glaciers form these things called kames
or eskers.
and eskers, and kames are cavities in the glacial ice. They fill with sand and gravel, and the eskers are melting water from the ice flowing down through the crevices in the glacier. This is the smaller of the two Kettle Lakes formed by the glaciers thousands of years ago as they melted and moved north. And over here, we're going to go closer to it in the distance, is the large Kettle Lake. So we have skunk trees here. See if you can figure out why they're called skunk trees.
Only in Robert's vocabulary.
Only in my world. Approaching the large Kettle Lake formed by the glaciers. Or maybe it's just a giant pond, but they call them Kettle, K-E-T-T-L-E, Kettle Lake. It's enveloped by beautiful white pine trees. How beautiful.
Look at that one, that's the prettiest one.
That's the prettiest one yet, Sid.
That just looks like it's right over the bonsai book.
Yep, right out of a bonsai book. And there's the lake down below. On the east side of the Kettle Lake in the wilderness Dickson Conservation Area.
Perfect photo right through here, fitting these trees. And the bench across them.
There's the bench over there. We're standing in front of a stand of poplar trees. They're like white, but not quite as white as a birch. Kind of a darker, grayer color. And not as flaky as a birch tree. And they're poplars. And the chickadee is saying, "This is where I live." Chick, 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 chickadee. The edge of the wilderness area. We have a farmer's field up there. And the large Kettle Lake on this side. And let's see where we can go next. So we've come across a buckthorn bush. It's kind of prickly and it's got thorns on it. It's invasive. It was brought over by the Europeans in the 1800s. And it likes to not only shade out other plants when it gets going, but it likes to do something to the soil so that it kills the other plants that are trying to survive in the same land. And this one has a mitt stuck in it. So it's a buckthorn. Look for buckthorns in the Carolinian forests of this area. And here you can see little buckthorns spreading throughout the area around the Kettle Lake. You can see what they do to kill everything else. They want control. We'll call this Buckthorn Way. I think they were used by the Europeans when they first came to North America. They brought them and they planted them along their property lines to keep animals out of their crops and any neighbors that they didn't like away. And then they just spread these buckthorns.
You have to watch out for the sumac because if it's poisonous, it'll give you a rash like poison ivy never could. And the poison sumac, like wet areas, like say close to the Kettle Lake, where the staghorn sumac likes dry areas, and the staghorn is much bigger, the branches look like horns of a deer, and the leaves are giant, but not the poison one. So my suggestion is when you see a sumac, stay away from it. Don't plant them in your garden either.
So the sun is glistening on the snow that's frozen on the plants, creating our diamond forest here. We're going to call this the diamond forest. Aren't they beautiful? Let's see if I can zoom in to see the diamonds.
Picking them up?
Yep.
Good.
Wow. All thanks to the sun. We're getting close to the end of our little walk today, and so far it's been a pleasure. This is ranking near the top of our forest bathing experiences so far. It could be the fact that it's crisp, cold, and sunny. Sue, have a seat on that bench and make a wish. Listen to the wind talking to Sue. Her wish will come true for sure. Another little baby kettle. There's lots of Kettle Lakes north of Sudbury and near Timmins and above Timmins in southern Ontario. The glaciers were at work there too, as they were receding from down in the United States, moving up toward the North Pole. Everything was melting. And that's how the Great Lakes were formed. I guess they're jumbo Kettle Lakes. Another poplar grove again. All these smooth gray trees are poplars. And on this side, we've got the buckthorn trying to create destruction. The poplars versus the buckthorns. Who will win? We're in the buckthorns now. There's some big buckthorns and some baby buckthorns. They've got the thorns on them and they're trying to poison the soil. It sure looks like bamboo. No, I think it's a type of grass. But it looks like baby bamboo. Wow. Buckthorn and bamboo competing. Well, we came out of the buckthorn jungle and we've hit sunlight, a cornfield, a farm, and we're still not there yet at the beginning, but we're heading there. We'll see where this goes, but we must be getting close. Well, if we're lost, we'll have to create a shelter and spend the night. Did you bring any matches? No. Sue spots the hut where we started. The information booth. Yay, Sue! I guess we won't have to spend the night, but I hear a wolf. There's a wolf. I see our car. This has got to be it. And the end of the Dickson, Roy Dickson Conservation